Good morning, Drive students. I hope that you're having a great week. Just wanted to share with you a few thoughts going forward with what we've been discussing lately. We talked about the frenzy, the fans, and the followers that we saw at the feeding of the 5,000, and how Jesus saw each one of them differently. You know, the frenzy and the fans, they kind of showed up for all the hype and they were there for all the cool things, but when it really came down to where they truly dedicated to following Jesus, it said in verse 66 of John chapter 6 that they went home and they no longer walked with Jesus. I hope that's not defining of you. And this morning, just as an extra challenge, I wanted to read something to you from Hebrews chapter 12. Just the first couple of verses. It says this: "Therefore, since we have such a large cloud of witnesses surrounding us, let us lay aside every weight and the sin that so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that lies before us, keeping our eyes on Jesus, the source and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that lay before him endured a cross and despised the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of God's throne." Man, what an awesome passage. As we talk about this morning, just want to share really quickly with you three distinctions between the frenzy, the fans, and the followers. The first one is this: followers run free. He said there, as we run this race that we call life, he said, let us set aside every weight and the sin that so easily ensnares us. We've got to be willing every day to set aside those weights and those sins so that we can run free. A follower doesn't get held back in life by all the extra stuff, and some of those things aren't bad. As Paul used this illustration, he was talking about a race. And when you train for a race, you want to train with weights, but when you run the race, you don't want to run with those weights on. You want to put those weights aside, therefore you can run free. So the first thing I want you to get this morning, in Hebrews chapter 12, the difference between the frenzy, the fans, and the followers is that the followers run free. We're not held back. Secondly, followers run far. You see, after he said to put aside the weight and the sin, he says this: let us run with endurance the race that lies before us. He wants us to endure and to run far. Not be a follower who runs just a little bit and you get excited for a moment, you go to camp, you go on a mission trip and you're excited, but then all of a sudden you're winded and you're no longer in the game. We need to be a follower who's willing to run far. So followers run free. They don't allow things to hold them back in life. And followers run far. They stay in it for the long haul. And lastly, followers run focused. He says this: keeping our eyes on Jesus. As we run through this life, we will be able to run free. We will be able to run far if we run focused. Keep your eyes on Jesus. Today, I hope that's an encouragement to you, that you would be able to look and say, you know what, I don't want to be a part of the frenzy, all the hype about church, all the hype about Drive Student Ministries. I don't want to be a fan of Jesus, just somebody who talks about Jesus on the weekends, but I want to be a true follower.